The U.S. military and aircraft carriers have entered the booth. Trump once issued a war order against Venezuela. It is equivalent to giving China a strategic window period for free. Just these few days. From the Mediterranean overnight. USS Ford nuclear-powered aircraft carrier has officially entered the Caribbean station. Joined Southern Command's so-called intensified anti-drug operation. The world's largest and most advanced aircraft carrier. With more than 40 carrier-based fighter jets, 3 Zeiston destroyers, and thousands of Marines. The mighty sail towards Venezuela into the sea. From the B-52 bomber approaching 70 kilometers cruise, to the AC-130 gunboat stationed in El Salvador, then to Puerto Rico Gros Fleur Base. Restart military, the size of the U.S. military in Latin America during the season, it has not been seen in 30 years. At the same time, the United States Congress voted 51-49. Reject the proposal to limit the use of force against the Commission, giving Trump the legal green light for military action. And domestic public opinion is gripped by narratives. Modest welcome school is quietly spreading to the Trump camp. However, this seemingly unilateral backyard show of muscles, but on the chessboard between Moscow and the East, it was quietly turned into a strategic opportunity. If the United States really takes action involving strategic experience, and China and Russia are happy to see it happen, facing the U.S. Air Force, babysitter and bomber, add electronic warfare and 3-dimensional encirclement and suppression of special forces. Venezuela's military, the bottom is shabby and fragile. The main force of the Air Force is 21 derated to Su-30MK2, but mostly due to the lack of zero. Jian Tingfei, another 21 from the 1980s, purchased F-16AB. The state of technology was stuck in 1980. The air defense system is equipped with S-300V and Yamagata missiles. But the whole system is outdated, difficult to counter U.S. stealth fighter jets and electromagnetic suppression. However, the Maduro regime has not been captured. At the end of October, Venezuela rushed to Russia. Traditional Chinese medicine, 3 kingdoms players. Russia responded promptly. 76 transporter flies around Africa. Avoid Western airspace. Arrival to Caracas. Armor S-1 approach air defense system and Yamamo Moment M21. Loyal air defense missile. The puppet military even claimed 24 trespassing aircraft have been shot down and deployed in the capital Caracas. 280 guerrilla positions. Prepare for lasting resistance. Response to airstrikes or ground incursions. Facing the ball in Venezuela. Help the Kremlin to respect sovereignty. Resolved in accordance with international law, the action is unambiguous on October 21st. Russian National Ferry. Rapid ratification of the Russian-Venezuelan Strategic Partnership Treaty. Valid period 10 years. We are unequivocally opposed to unilateral sanctions and pledge to deepen arms control and financial cooperation. But really smart. It is Russia's strategic calculation. Moscow is not serious about keeping Maduro. They want the United States to come in. Who thinks? Venezuela's terrain is complex. Lots of militia. Anti-American sentiment is on the rise. Even if the U.S. airstrikes are successful, if you fall into guerrilla warfare on the ground, like the Vietnam War, Afghanistan's dilemma, and once the U.S. military is deeply involved in Venezuela, Washington will have a difficult time. Aid to Ukraine. Hard state deployment. The Middle East will be forced to shrink. This is precisely the Kremlin, the coveted strategic window. As for the dialogue attitude, Maduro even inaugurated one himself. Monument to commemorate China's victory in the anti-Japanese war. Shout! China's victory is Venezuela's victory. China's position has always been steady. Oppose the unilateral abuse of force. oppose external interference in internal affairs. China is Venezuela's largest trading partner. Venezuela imports 90% of its oil exports, supply 1/3 of its products. China's actual actions are intriguing. If the U.S. military is involved in a long-term conflict in Latin America, it will greatly ease China's position in the Taiwan Strait. Strategic pressure in the South China Sea, equivalent to Trump. Bai Song, a strategic opening period in China. The current Sino-US game has entered a critical period. The United States cannot be beautiful if it is divided into troops. Hard state strategy. Troop deployment. Diplomatic resources. The focus of public opinion will be diverted. And here's the thing. If the U.S. military operation is frustrated, the myth of its invincibility will further crumble. Global South's confidence in the American model will accelerate disintegration. This is in line with China's promotion, the deep strategy of multi-level order. Despite Trump's high-profile claims about Maduro's day, and authorized the China Youth Bureau, launching a covert operation in Venezuela. But he's hesitant. All actions are still in the name of Christ at sea. Expose that he only dares to shoot fishing boats. The dilemma of not daring to hit the airport? And here's the thing. Trump knows. Venezuelan. Occupy South Venezuela 900 kilometers deep. Tropical jungle. If American troops land. Terror Iraqi air. Quick win is expected. Hopeless. Once the casualty figures rise. Domestic anti-war will overwhelm its 2026 midterm election layout. Therefore, the arrival of the Ford, still more like extreme pressure than development needs. Force Maduro to compromise. Or lure them into making mistakes, rather than really fighting to the end. The arrival of the USS Ford symbolizes the powerful resurgence of the American Monroe Doctrine. But it also exposes its strategic anxiety and capacity overdraft. Russia and the East. I have seen through the weakness behind this show of power. Venezuela may be small and weak, but in the great power chess game, he moves the strategic fulcrum of his whole body with thousands of easy movements. As Ami said, Venezuela is not a bastion for Russia. It's an American trough. And China only needs to enter the official bureau to sit back and make room.